with us. Ruben has been the director of the Yerevan Zoo for the past since 2011, since 2011. And when he took over, he has done major changes to the zoo, the program of the zoo, as well as the physical structure and infrastructure of the zoo. And he's brought in international support, international know-how, expertise in doing that. They're in close cooperation with the Amsterdam Zoo, is it? Not only, but also Amsterdam Zoo. And so the Yerevan Zoo is going to become a very significant environmental education and animal welfare education center in the country. And we're proud to have Ruben as a colleague leading that effort. And we look forward to all the changes that are happening and hearing about what those changes are. Thank you. You need to.
For next week.
Is it the AUA presentation? Yeah, because we haven't used it.
I feel really sorry that I'm late because I had just our partners from Coca-Cola negotiated about this year's partnership, so I couldn't really escape that. First of all, I want to introduce a foundation which I found in 12 years ago, almost. And it was just initiative with some crazy friends who decided to share their thoughts of environmental issues with the public, and we started with making movies about Armenian wildlife. Since then, nobody else filmed Armenian wildlife in a way that we have done it. For each species, about their problems, about their habitat issues, and we made actually around 30 documentaries, and we showed it in public TV, that time Prometheus TV, and then afterwards now it's second public TV. We thought that if we show what we have, we can be proud, then we can discuss about how we can protect them. And then we can raise attention to these animals, to the habitat we are losing, about the issues general. But I think that years, it was 2005, 6, 7, even less 4, that people were kind of still in Soviet mentality, that they were kind of freedom to make their businesses. They were eager to for economic growth, and environmental issues were really neglected. I think here in this audience, my friends can share with me regarding this here. It was really a harsh time, and we were late with our message. We were late, and then we started to think what else we can do, that we have these thoughts, this attention, and the background that can lead the people to understand which is urgent, what is urgent, how we can react on these issues, what cannot wait. And And then we realized that the only way to do that is environmental education. We started with kids. And we were very successful to find partners, and we started with opening eco clubs. These are we called Sunchild Project and Sunchild Eco Clubs. We opened them in remote villages in different regions. I think there were around more than 5,000 school children went through our curriculum. And the way how we have done it, it's using tools like toys for them. And these toys were camera, photo camera, video camera, but we teach them how to use it, how they can tell story, how they can see what was there but was unseen till now. So with the zoom of camera, with the zoom of photo, we zoom the issues in the environment that they never thought about. And they create beautiful movies, beautiful pictures. They started, it was kind of movement, let's say, which till now we feel the feedback from this. They are already like students, they study in universities abroad. And there is still a connection, strong network, but it's still functioning. And when we are doing kind of campaign, then we can organize very quick kind of movement which supports the initiative. Any kind of environment, we are talking about environment. So this was one of the main, let's say, directions we started with FPWC, education, environmental education. And parallel, we were running raising awareness campaigns like Sunchild Environmental Festival, which is actually the only environmental festival in the whole Caucasus. Caucasus, and we are organizing different seminars besides the film screenings, which are very important because we are collecting all important environmental movies all over the world. Competition, it has also a children's section. So our target group is like whole society with different age groups. And of course, it's a week. Now we change a little bit the format, let's say, because of lack of financing always. To be very inventing new ideas, new approaches, how you can do the same approach with less and less money always. So but we went very broad now. Besides that, we are organizing film screenings in different halls and venues. We are working with TVs, and through TVs we can reach much more, of course, audience. And this year we are going to organize discussions in different TV channels. So some of the people who are sitting here will definitely be involved in these discussions. And the themes we are choosing is also connected to Armenia. It's about mining, it's about wildlife, it's closing issues that we all share. And of course, besides these two components, from very beginning, our thoughts were about biodiversity conservation. About these all efforts, it's about biodiversity conservation. And we had the idea that why we cannot just take a land for protection. This was kind of innovative for that time, let's say, approach, because if you know, all kind of parks and national parks and reserves, and they belong to the state, and there is no kind of even law that allows you to protect a land just by yourself if you want. But we succeeded, and we succeeded it because we started to work very closely with communities. Communities which are close to the reserves, close to the national parks, and we were successful because we didn't want just, we conservationists are very brutal in a way, because without much explanations, we want to insist the people that we are right, and it's urgent. We have to right now to stop this or protect that or close this mining or whatever. But we started with really sitting with the community heads, and we wanted to understand their issues. What are their issues? What do they need? And very step by step, we went into the community life. We understood their problems with water, with garbage, with no windows in the school, or no water. And we tried to find partners and sponsors to support these communities. But we said, if we succeed to help you, you have to give a piece of land, which is very important for these type of animals with these species. If it's a migratory corridor, if it's the same habitat which is close to a national reserve, for example. And they were ready to collaborate with us. Since 2006-07, we took around this mountains of more than 4,000 hectares. We started with 300 hectares. And I can assure you that it's the most beautiful project that we can be proud of. Let's say 5-6 years ago, when we went there to, because the habitat is the same as in reserve, for example, and we were trying to find reservoir codes or some footprints of leopards, because we knew that the last 10 years they were killed the leopard twice in the same place. So we couldn't find more than one reservoir code in that time. And now, if you follow our website or Facebook, we share every day 40, 50 in one group, females or males of reservoir codes of wild boar, or bears, lynx, even leopard. Yeah. And I'm proud that we could manage to film the first ever film of leopard, because before us, of course, we succeeded to make photos with our cameras, but it's the only film, the first film. It's a very interesting story, because the leopard we fixed with the trap camera is 3 legs. It has 3 legs. It's a reason of maybe trap or gunshot. We knew, but we decided that it can stay in wildlife, and because it's quite, I think here you can see, it was really in good shape, just fit, and we decided to live in the area. And of course, part of all of this, I think one can say, under which umbrella can fit all these initiatives. Of course, it's the zoo. Zoo is the place where we see the future of all our let's say, projects and thoughts and ideas that we can bring under one umbrella, and we can serve for much more people, to make it visible, to share, to teach, crucial role in conservation. Just one number I can share with you is 60% of the conservation money comes from zoos. This is a huge number. This is a huge number which will grow definitely during the years. And I can show you that Yerevan Zoo will be part of this. It's an important initiative. We will start with Armenia.
Can you clarify 60% of
the
funding
whole
for
budget.
conservation?
Yeah.
Worldwide,
In global.
globally?
Worldwide comes zoos finance
Exactly.
from their budget.
US, Europe, EASA,
Yeah.
VASA.
Zoological societies, I
Yeah.
think also.
And it's growing. It has the tendency of growing. Because the zoos, even though they are not profitable, but they can make money. And that's why also our mayor now believe me that we can be profitable and we can make money, not only for keeping the zoo itself, but also to serve for education, serve for conservation. It was really hard to start from something which is there and which is really destroyed, and it needs like much more effort than if you could start something from scratch, from beginning with the empty area. All infrastructures are old. The staff that worked, we have to change. We were crying the first 3 months there, just every day by walking near the enclosures and seeing animals and stuff. But then slowly we find partners, and of course the zoo has a huge community. It's a powerful tool. It's even, we can say, a strong weapon that you can use really very well. And we are proud that we could find partners from Amsterdam, from Israel, from different countries, even from Australia, from US, and people from Indonesia, and people they were very skilled and professional. They shared their ideas, they shared their knowledge with us, and we could create a new master plan for Yerevan Zoo. With its enlargement, with new enclosures, with ideas, and also with all our, let's say, experience that we had last with FPWC, with conservation project, with education project. We can fit slowly in the zoo life. And of course, the visual side, let's say, which is very visible for the public and audience. It's infrastructures, it's the buildings, it's new enclosures. But of course, besides that, we do a lot in terms of how we can fit the zoo curricula in the public schools. We work now with the Ministry of Education. Of course, our Eco Club, which is running in the zoo still is actual. And we have many events, all kinds of funny events, very colorful events, which serves for environmental education. And this year, I think if you have a chance to come to the zoo, you will see really big changes on the point of view infrastructures or new enclosures. But parallel, what is for us much more important, we were very successful in breeding Armenian mouflons, bezoar goats, and this year also birded vulture. I think we are fitting in very few zoos in the world that they can be proud of, that they can breed birded vulture. If you know, birded vulture is an endangered species worldwide. And there is a huge project in Europe in Alps. And now we are partners with the association conservation of vultures, and this year they are going to invest also new enclosures in Yerevan Zoo for further breeding, and we connect all our efforts to connect the whole conservation of vultures. And the next step, of course, will be black vulture and Egyptian vulture. Black vulture is more, let's say, at the age of extinction. If Karen, please correct me. So I think zoo is a place where one should go farther with parallel projects. You can not just fix in one strategy with zoo infrastructures or new enclosures, and then you can think about education or conservation. So it's a huge community, the zoo community, and I'm really very lucky that globally zoos are going into conservation. This was at the beginning I was really afraid because I didn't like zoo people. All conservationists, they don't like zoo people. And then when you go and meet the people and you see that there is lots of efforts behind these cartoons, and you realize that it can serve really very good conservation. And as I said, I think it will come one day that the conservation money will mostly come from the zoos, and it is going into that direction. So this year, I can share with you some information. We will have Lemur Island. It will be the biggest, I think, in our region. We will have a new clinic, vet clinic, which is very important because we even invite a vet from US. He will work for us there, and the clinic built in a way that from one side it can serve to the public, so all people can come with their pets, with cats, and of course it will generate some additional money for the zoo. And from backside it will serve to the zoo, for the zoo animals. Yeah, I'm really grateful to municipality and the mayor that he believes in let's say, in FPWC's dreams, or let's say strategy or vision, and he invests only this year 500 million drams, which is really big money, but not for the zoo. And of course, one of the nice projects we will share this year with everybody, that zoo donate, or let's say can give a present to the public, a new park which is for free. So the beginning, you are coming, you are entering the park without paying. You can see some animals there, bears or swans, and it will open till late night. It will bring more attention. People can sit to have a coffee there. They can organize their even lectures, or maybe we can collaborate there. And then
the bears.
you have you will see the new place for selling tickets, sharing information. So it's nicely done. I think you will love it. And of course, about environmental education, I talk a lot. I think this is some pictures from the events we are organizing. It's some people know it's Pan-Armenian Painting Day, which is also about environmental issues, and it's a contest. And we have different contests because it motivates the kids a lot. And they are getting lots of iPads and cameras, and nice gifts for their thoughts and for their art, what they are sharing. And of course, one of the nice projects that everybody loves also is the idea of flower gathering at Genocide Memorial. Of course, it has maybe the less impact of this project is the environmental, because it's more like ethic and more like responsibility that we can share with collecting these flowers and flower leaves and drying them and making paper. Of course, it's lots of environmental thoughts in it, but it's a way how it should be done, I think, in terms of Genocide Memorial. And this year we need lots of support, so we encourage you to support us with all your friends, because as you know, flowers will be much more than past years. It will be on 27th of April. It will be 2 days, because we think that in 2 days we can manage to collect the flowers. Yeah, and one of the projects which we went to the public asking their support is a new initiative called Inclusive Playground. This is first inclusive playground in itself, will be in Armenia, let's say, first one, which of course for kids always with zoo is doing like free access for disabled kids. And we went for like global giving platform, and we raised for now around $8,000, but our target is $50,000. So we hope that beginning of May we will open the playground for the public already. Of course, we have another initiative for this kind. It's called Dream Night. It's also a project which are sharing all kinds of zoos in Europe, or the ones who want to be part of that nice initiative, making dreams of disabled kids coming true. So we are collecting letters with their wishes, and during the year we are trying to implement these dreams. I think for now this is our achievement. And you can really be connected to our Facebook, and you can smile every day with the nice photos of our animals and new chicks.
I confirm.
So thank you very much.
Is that why you're smiling every morning?
Yes, Karin looks to the zoo Facebook page, and then
I think in the future we have the field of cooperation.
Right. I think this is very exciting. Thank you very much for sharing. I have lots of questions. I'm sure people do as well. We need to figure out ways of connecting AUA students, now that we have undergraduate students, to the Caucasus Wildlife Reserve activities, to the zoo. I think there's lots of interesting opportunities to find ways in which AUA students can intern with you for 2 months, 3 months, a summer, or year-long internships. That's something we should think about. I think there are opportunities. And they would learn a lot about flora, fauna, and taking care of animals and even wildlife preservation issues. I think
for the beginning we can organize just a visit to our CWR, that you can all see what kind of infrastructures we have, how you can use it for your studies, for your research. We have horses, we have cars if it's needed. We have a nice shelter that you can sleep or live. So it's open for scientists always.
Great, thank you. And in terms of the zoo, how many animals do you have?
Currently we have around 2,000 animals.
How many species?
We are not calculating the ones we are keeping for the food. It is a reality that everybody should scope it. that animals need food. The food for animals are also animals. Mouses, rats,
And approximately how many species?
around 200.
And
Of course,
you-
this year it will be we will raise species. We are and actually the strategy of the zoo, what we in terms of collection plan. At the beginning, we were very much motivated to keep only our local fauna from our region, because we have to be proud of it. And then later on, we slowly understand that you cannot run a zoo only with, because of the maybe lack of information and awareness of society, because society will not accept. Even one of the famous environmentalists in Armenia, I can say even the name, were very, very much against that we remove the elephant from Armenia. She was totally in panic that she cannot bring her grandchild to the zoo and show the elephant. So the society is not prepared for these kind of big changes, that they can understand why we have to keep only animals which is you can find in local animals, and we can be proud that what we have. I don't know why, but people are very much enthusiastic to see exotic animals, or see one of the stupid questions from the journalists I'm getting always. How many species you have, and because it's not about how many species you have, it's about how you can introduce your animals, how you can connect to the public these animals, what you can teach to the public with showing these animals, because zoo animals are ambassadors of the ones who are living in wildlife, and you can use them to teach the public about their needs, about their issues, about their problems, and to bring public, like it's a bridge to bring the public to that issue, that they can be connected and that they can be supportive, or they can realize their actions in their businesses or in their daily life, even buying this product or that product. So it's very much connected. So that's why it opens a really huge working field for us.
Then some of the, I think you had initially lions and things, and they were, and before you guys took over, the poor lions were in a pathetic condition, and you've made changes, right, in terms of how their habitat.
Yeah, it's about understanding how people want to see in like new world, how people want to see the animals and how you can introduce them. So the new approach, or let's say the new ideology presenting animals in the zoos globally, is to create more or less the same habitat, their natural habitat, where they live. So if they live in the desert, you create an artificial desert environment for them. Of course, before it was only about many species as possible, so you can be proud of it. And Yerevan Zoo, I think one time in 50s, 60s, was second zoo in USSR that was proud of the variety of species. But not now. People don't want to see like small cages and just species because you are a collectioner or something. It's about, as I said, how you introduce. So it's about how you can connect the public to those animals and to their problems and to their environment. Many zoos, for example, if they are showing also, even though exotic animals, they are telling a story. It's about storytelling, about the people, about the indigenous communities where these animals come, how these indigenous communities connected with these animals. Well, what does it mean? So it's really a whole world with information, nice information that the zoo can provide to the public. It's not only conservation, it's also about us, about humankind, our behavior, how we can act that with buying, or for example, I brought the example with buying a product here that you can influence a habitat of orangutan somewhere other side of the world. So it's very much connected, and I think zoos can play a crucial role in this.
I can go on asking questions.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understand, the zoos in the world, they have some specialization. Some of them are specialized in areas like Southeastern Asia, South America, whatever. Some are specialized in groups of animals. Some of them are breeding big monkeys, some big cats, raptors, or whatever. How do you see that specialization of
Our zoo. Yeah, as I said before, we were thinking to keep only like our local fauna. Then you realize that it will not work for our society. But globally, zoos are working with the same ideology. It's to create a thematic park. If you create let's say, South Latin American environment, then you present I think 4 or 5 or maybe 6, depending on your budget. But here we face with the problem that we have animals that we didn't choose. We got them out of nowhere. And for example, we have 11 lions, which is, I mean, nobody can understand why a zoo should have 11 lions. Of course, there is a story behind why they keep the lions breed, because they were selling it and to make some money. And then people realized that they cannot keep it because they bought it very small, and after 2 months they bring it back. The zoo took them for free, like without charging, and we have now 11 lions. So nobody knew lions in the world. No zoo was a lion, because they breed like a hell. And when we stopped the breeding, we got very bad reaction from the public and from journalists that we are against the breeding, and it's very bad. Even with the bears, we have 7 bears in our zoo. Of course, this year you will see a new big enclosure for the bears, and we are going to enlarge it to 6 hectares. So it will be not enclosure, but it will be sanctuary for the bears. It will allow us to take the bears from restaurants, from gas stations. So we can take, but if we take and from behind we come the new ones, this is also an issue. So issues are big, issues are complex, and that's why our strategy is to fit into reality now. Even though we have nice ideas that what is our strategy is in future, but our steps is very slow, and we should wait just to have approach from also municipality, that they can understand that if there is a need, we should euthanize an animal. It should be a normal procedure and not kind of hysteria in the public or in journalists who are...
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Obviously, there should be some optimal number for each species, and obviously you have for number of species you have much more than that optimum number. 11 golden eagles or something like that, when one pair is more than enough for. It is enough for a successful exhibition, and they would feel themselves much more comfortable if it is paired, because this is territorial bird.
Yeah.
And the same with the example that you brought. So is there any way to eliminate the number to optimum?
So it's very interesting because we discovered lots of interesting stuff when we came to the zoo. We couldn't even imagine that the reason why, for example, black vulture or lemurgayers are decreasing in wildlife, the reason is the zoo. Because villagers, to make money, they brought chicks to the zoo, and zoo bought them with very few money, like $30, $40 maybe, or less. And then they started a business. They sell out of country, like to the different Russian zoos or private zoos, with $5,000 or euros. And that's why we have this problem. And that's why we have so many eagles. The problem with it now that all animals, stupidly, is an asset of our state. And you know, there's a procedure if you want to release a state asset. It's a hell, it's a headache. For example, if you want to send a rat to other zoo or selling it or whatever, it's a one-year procedure. And you cannot be sure that you can succeed with it.
Even the private zoos, these oligarch zoos and
No,
restaurants?
we are talking about our zoo now. I'm talking about Yerevan Zoo, which typically, I don't know, somehow when they made a decision, all animals are belongings of the state.
Not even the
Yerevan city or
municipality.
state? Can you precise, because here was the question, do they belong to Yerevan city municipality or to the state?
No, it was the state asset. The transformation from state to the community Yerevan is not really done now.
So previously
So
the
we are
zoo was
hanging between this transformation of being a state or being under community. Municipality. So of course we work with, from our side, we work with our lawyers. Our lawyers working with the lawyers of municipality now, that we can solve this problem. Because without this, we are not even allowed to release this, for example, surplus is what we have, in terms of eagles or other animals, even buffaloes that we want in the future to release into the wild. If we not succeed with this procedure, we cannot do it.
And how do you deal with wildlife rehabilitation? So a bear gets injured, human caused, a white stork gets injured, human caused, and it's brought to you, you take care of them, and then they take off. Well, the bear doesn't take off, of course, but you know.
Of course, we find the ways. We know our ways of finding ways. We are not registered. When something should be released, we don't register. Very easy. But in terms of bears, for example, the one which ran away from Alabian Street, for example, and we get a call from Ministry of Emergency, because we are collaborating, we are supporting them always. Or there were one case in Zahkazor, where a bear escaped from a restaurant cage. And they were trying to catch the bear 2 days, and afterwards they realized it can go out of control. So they call Ministry of Emergency and they call us. So we have now the right medicaments, the right people, the right knowledge, how to deal with it. But our possibilities are very limited. So we cannot bring, let's say, every day a bear into the zoo and taking care of them. Because I think everybody knows that bear is one of the animals that if you feed the bear, if you keep the bear, you cannot release them anymore. They will be addicted to the human kind. They will come close to them because they think their food comes from them. So So they will go to the villages. So it's not easy. If you are keeping a bear, then it's forever. Should stay there. You cannot release. Of course, there are projects now in Russia and somewhere else also that are trying as a cap to release that they don't see the human. Let's say they are not addicted to human actions or feeding.
Does the zoo utilize any volunteers?
Sure. We have every year we have more than 10 volunteers everywhere. We have even from Germany volunteers from states. We are always happy to have volunteers.
What kinds of duties would they perform?
What kind of work?
What kind of work would they be involved in?
Well, a lot. It can be administrative work, it can be also fundraising, it can be just working with animals, taking care of animals, or gardening. We have lots of projects in the zoo or events that can be part of this organizational stuff. So. Yes.
Ruben, I've got a couple of questions. First, thank you very much for coming. I think I want to reiterate what Alan said, that it would be great to engage in a collaboration where our students can become more involved with the projects of the zoo and of the foundation. Two very unrelated questions. One is this whole idea of, bears and lions and whatever in people's homes and restaurants and is that legal? I mean, because you see it all the time. We had an awful experience with my son and a bear in a restaurant. We didn't even know it was there. But I'm just wondering, does the state allow it or does it just happen? That's one question.
No, of course it's illegal.
It's illegal. I had a feeling, I just wasn't sure. And the other question is related to the new park idea. Is the zoo fully accessible? And when the idea came up for the park, do you envision it having an effect on the society, and how do you think it might have an additional effect on society? Because as we know, a lot of the institutions, including public ones, are not accessible to people with disabilities. And I'm wondering if you anticipate that having a larger effect on the society in general.
We didn't really thought how much impact it would have on this initiative, but it's a start. It's a good start, and it's a very public place. So, if you want or not, there are 300,000 visitors coming a year to the zoo, and so we are always organizing like special tours and also like this dream night. And it's a public event, and we are inviting all kind of media. We should talk. We should always talk about this. Talk and show, and then I think change will happen. This is, for us, is a good start.
Thank you for taking the lead on that. It's an important step.
Thank you.
I should also point out that we have an environmental projects course we're offering for the first time. Kevin Atkin, Garna Awabin, and I are co-teaching that course. And one of our students is actually doing a project with the zoo, a very interesting project of grandchildren's day at the zoo. And it's a way of getting elderly out of the house and active, and also for them to bond around issues of endangered species, where the zoo can offer that opportunity to learn about the specific endangered species. So we're very grateful for the cooperation from the zoo on that. Also, for a very long time, Garna Awabin has been leading a project on white storks. And we do find injured white storks that communities call us about, and the zoo is one of the places where we take injured white storks for rehabilitation. And so they have been a great partner. And some of the white storks never leave, right?
Yeah,
They just stay
one
there.
really who knows.
One lay its nest above the lemurgeil enclosure and looking for a partner. Maybe you can support this initiative.
Matchmaking. Students, any questions? You're doing a project on wolves, right? Have you been in touch with FPWC? Okay. Yes, tell us about your project. What are you doing?
So the project is relates to the overhunting issue of the wolves in Armenia, and the main emphasis of it is to create an animated movie with target of children, and to suggest this idea of how to create the method of managing the a platform of experts that will work and do the researches on how many species how many wolves should be killed in order not to damage them. So the animated movie will first of all present the wolves in Armenia and their condition, and then refer to the issue and the suggestions.
Very nice project. We are open to cooperate. Whenever you have time to visit us, please. Actually, in our CWR area, which is now 4,000 hectares, we observe also wolves. We have 7 wolves there. They ate 6 our horses already.
Together?
Yeah, all together.
Piece by piece.
But one by one.
One by one. That's the
But
backside.
it's their area, it's their right, so they are free to do everything. They go there.
You still have horses there.
Sorry?
You still have horses there.
We have some left. Yeah. We have some left. So scientists can use them.
One of our students is also working on birds and buildings. I know the Alkopian Center has been, that's one of the issues that the Alkopians, our sponsors, are very passionate about, bird conservation. And one of the big problems is birds running into buildings, and there's billions of birds that get killed every year because of that. And it's probably the leading cause of bird mortality in the world. And so one of our students is working on a project on what to add to buildings so that birds don't come that way and run into windows. And maybe that can be an educational thing we can link with the zoo, and maybe that's... Who else is working on? You're working on dog training, animal welfare issues, maybe with ProPaws and Dingo and Municipality of Yerevan. Maybe there could be links there we can make with the zoo. We talked about your project. Who's animal-related work? Who else is doing animal? You're doing pesticides.
Yes.
Both of you. Any questions? Can I ask a survey? How many of you have visited the Yerevan Zoo? Raise your hand. Okay, how many of you have not visited the Yerevan Zoo? One person who's not, 2 people, 3 people. And just a quick survey. Well, how do you evaluate people's satisfaction? Do you have like standard questions you ask, or like what is the most attractive? Why would you go back to the zoo? Just raise your hand and say something. Why would you go back to the zoo?
For example, I just love bears, and I go to
Bears, yeah. So bears are usually a good attraction.
Yeah.
Lots of recent changes, so.
So you'll go to see the changes, yeah.
To show my cousins the animals or to present them.
The what?
To walk my cousins to show the animals.
To show, and their cousins are younger, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so to
Doesn't matter.
Actually, some years ago there was a Grand Candy proposed a function like gathering stuff, and they brought some elephants from India, I think, I suppose. And it was like
Wedding.
Yeah, wedding. And there was
before.
years ago.
that was where you were there? Or?
And it was those type of gatherings would encourage people to get involved in this, like more creating more awareness. It might encourage.
I was regularly visiting the zoo from 2002 with the special purpose. Because at that time I was implementing the project with the vultures and the issue that Ruben pointed out about zoo being purchasing vultures from the villagers and selling them to other zoos. That was obviously visible and monitored. And it was really nice to see how conditions are being changed for the vultures, because now they are kept in much better conditions. Now many things are made scientifically justified, and as a result, I know that this is what fifth year when you get griffon vultures breeding, fourth or fifth generation, right? And this year you had great success with the llama guy eventually. I know you have been working hard with this issue, 3 years from now, right? With identification of the sex of the species and then separating them, etc. And do you have black vultures breeding now, right?
Not now because of this massive construction process.
Ah, yes.
But next year.
So yeah, it was great, and I'm just probably continuing the message that Sherry said. It was great to see the changes that the zoo it's becoming conceptually different area for education, and for that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Actually, I have one question. Sorry. Like you were speaking about the vet clinic, right? I'm a medical doctor, but I'm not vet. I don't know about anything about vet clinic. But this is what makes me ask this question. Does the curriculum in veterinary university have the ways to treat the wild animals? Basically, they have for the domestic and so on, like cattle and so on. It will be a good initiative, or like my thinking loud. The thing is, like, it will be a good initiative to combine the some courses from veterinary university for treating the wild animals or the exotic animals, which will be available for them. It will be education purpose good for them, and it will be more sustainable for the zoo itself. Because as you said, you are bringing some vet dog from states or some other Western country, so it is not a sustainable, right? Where if you want to see a sustainability, you can combine these things.
Yeah, actually, they study, but it's only in theory. And if they come for practical, even there is a agreement with them that they should come make a practice. So fourth year student cannot identify a jaguar from tiger. Even. I don't know about the...
They are almost the same.
4 legs, 1 tail.
Long tail.
So I don't know. We are facing really a difficulty with reality in terms of the students nowadays, because there is only few students. They are showing enthusiasm to come to learn, to work, to support, to make really a practice in the zoo.
Worldwide, wildlife rehabilitation is a specialized field with not too many people.
Yeah.
So Armenia being a very small country, we're always going to have very few people interested or able to be absorbed. There's a market for it. So it's, I mean, domestic animals are a much larger, market, if you will, for expertise. But it's good too that now we have a place where they can actually learn and practice.
In that case, also we can bring some exchange programs from Western University students so that we can have a collaboration.
Yeah, but we are also organizing, like, we can send our co-workers or students even that they are attached to us also in the future, that if they plan to work with the zoo, to different zoos in Europe or elsewhere to make practice, to make study, and to different courses on even in husbandry issues, not only all kinds. So we are really open for cooperation.
They can start practice on lions. We have so many.
Sorry?
They can start practice on lions.
If they have limbs left, they can go to
Could you also explain a little bit more about the structures that you're adding to your existing zoo? I mean, you showed there in renders that there were going to be new island. I was curious if you're considering, I don't know, animals, local, natural habitats for designing new and if your architects or designers are specialized in designing this type of.
It's a serious issue because there is no architects in Armenia. We can find that they are specialized on zoos. It's a globally very rare specification, or let's say specialty that designers are going to the really to that field of zoos, because you need to practice. You need years and years to work to understand the animals, to understand the habit, the environment. It's not easy. So what we are doing, we involve specialists from different zoos, like the director, who is now a designer, very famous designer of the zoos, Bernard Harrison. He is the founder of the Singapore Night Zoo, which is very famous in the world. So he came 3 times to Armenia working with us. And the tiger enclosure is his idea, his design, and overall approaches that we learned from
tiger
him.
enclosure?
No, it's not
No,
here.
it's not here. But also there is a David Hancock, who is also world famous zoo director and designer, and he's one of the authors who is writing really very important books about zoo concept, the new approach of the zoos. So he's visiting us very often, and he's going to visit us in May as well. We involve like landscape architects from Holland who are specialized in the zoos. So it's really complex, so one cannot find. Also this idea, what we all implemented, is partly my ideas that I learned from these experts, these approaches, these concepts, how one can see the direction where we go. But it's a really complex issue.
When world experts come, maybe we can collaborate on having public events, speaking events.
Yeah,
Sure.
David comes
David
by end of May. He was director of Melbourne Zoo, and he is now doing a lot with sanctuaries, specialized on elephants as far as I very much focus, but also on other species.
Conceptualist, but he is like working as director, so it's very interesting.
Hands-on.
He was an architect. By profession, he's an architect.
So he's an architect, that's why he was asking. Sorry, he was in. Go ahead. And then you were asking.
Yeah, you mentioned that you had to change a lot of stuff when you just came to the zoo, and also we already discussed the issue with finding vets, doctors. What's the situation with finding the staff in general? Is it easy, like other specialists? Are they young people or mostly older people?
Of course, at the beginning was very problematic to find young people, because all staff was like more than 80 years old. These elderly ladies and grandpas, so how you can explain them what is the enrichment, for example, or why they should not take any food to their home. Why it is important to come at 9 and finish the work at 5. So it was really hard time we were through, but I could manage to raise the salary. I think 100% anymore. And this is additional motivation for youngsters now to work there. So now we have 80% of our staff young people, and some other ladies which
We have to.
we can enjoy.
And do you have a constant professional development training program?
Sure. We're organizing in yearly basis. We send our staff to different zoos, or we invite experts and trainers from mainly European zoos, because we are part of European Association of the Zoos and Aquariums. We have only 2 years to become from the candidacy membership to the full member. So that's why also this all change is happening, because we will be part of that family. It's a nice way of organizing the zoo, because old, let's say, Soviet countries, and the way how they work, it's selling and buying the animals between the zoos. Because zoo in itself cannot exist, because in one day you will have the problem with inbreeding. You want to change the collection, you want to improve, and you need the other zoos. Because we don't talk about Armenia that if you have money you can buy everything, even bonobo.
By the way, it's not only Armenia.
Yeah, but here it's extreme, because the name of our country is in blacklist everywhere, and in all international seminars I go, everybody comes to me and asks what is happening in Armenia, what kind of people is that they can bring bonobos or very rare species to Armenia like that. But the way how European zoos are working, they donate their animals. So if you have surpluses, there is a zoo in this association which can, let's say,
Adopt.
Give the standards of living for the animals. You can be sure that the animal can be there, so we donate this animal. So we are working with them since 2012, like that. We have many animals. We came from these zoos, and we are going to give now. So we are working 1 year to send our griffon vultures to Israel. This is a project that we are supporting the Israeli Ministry of Nature Protection for rehabilitation and releasing it to the wild, because griffon vulture are totally extinct in Israel. So it took 1 year that we get approval or allowedness to send from the municipality. So in July we will send.
Was your question?
Yeah, I guess I raised my hand saying I've never been into the zoo, but I realized that I went to the zoo when I was a student some time ago, and I was really discouraged with what I've seen in terms of the filthiness of the animals. And that was the end of my trip there.
When was this?
1980, 83, 84, 85. And that was the end of it. So my question is, why the zoo is not kept as clean as possible? The zoo, the building, the greenery, the paths, trashes were everywhere. Why it's not being taken care of properly, regardless whether it belongs to the state or to individual or to a private enterprise, number one. Number two is the animals, why are they just as filthy as the entire institution, in terms of it doesn't encourage, or at least in those years it didn't encourage even people to get into. So when you said the zoo is state property, you mean the building is state property, the property itself is state property, or the animals are state property?
Both.
And so what
No,
if it's a state
No,
property?
no, let me clarify something. What you're talking about is the old zoo.
Yeah.
What is interesting and important from the work FPWC and Ruben have done with the zoo is that they're changing all that
That's right. That's
to an
what I'm
international
saying.
standard. Now, the question of why the old behaved the way it did, let's put that aside.
No, my question is now.
Now it's a different world. You should go visit. It's a clean zoo, right? It's clean.
You know, when there was the question why you visit the zoo, and the answer was the change. For me, it's one of the reasons too. And I can say that like 5 years ago, it was really disgusting, and you could smell everything. Now it's different. It's probably maybe only wolves are, but that's natural. Otherwise, when you walk in the zoo, it's you can
like
breathe
a
and you don't feel bad.
Actually, the zoos worldwide, one can allow himself to have a zoo in a country because you are rich enough. In our country, I don't know why the zoo existed now, honestly. Because the money which zoo needs, it's huge. I don't know. Maybe we have everybody will maybe share this idea that we have much more important issues in Armenia right now in Yerevan than to develop a zoo or reconstruct the zoo. But if you go deep into the issues of conservation, education, behavior of our society, then you can realize that the zoo is a really important place, and we should really do everything that the zoo should stay, and not only stay, but develop itself and serve to the point, serve to in the right way. And as I said, if there are 3 points, it's raising awareness, it's conservation, and education.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you see the zoo as a part of the urban development of Yerevan? I mean, the zoo is a huge green space also in the city, and it's more and more, as the city is still growing on its outskirts, it's getting really in the city. And it's a big green space. How do you see this as a part of urban development, and how can you defend it against the greed of people to make it maybe smaller and take parts of it for whatever kind of construction purpose?
I mentioned about a friend from Amsterdam who is half Armenian, half Dutch. Ike Balyan, who is the director of Artis Royal Zoo in Amsterdam. The first time he came, actually he is one of the reasons why I became a director. He has some strange energy to influence people. And, we were together in 2000, I think, 9 it was. We were here with the Golden Apricot Festival, because he's a producer. He has more or less the same background as I have. I'm also film director. And we were together in the zoo, making a photo with a lion baby, because he was that time the zoo director, for a festival newspaper. And he shared with me his ideas, and I remember him when he said, if you don't have a vision, the steps or all efforts you do will end up nowhere. And Barbara, I have some visions, some crazy visions, and of course one of these craziest visions is to connect botanical garden with the zoo.
Not knocking down the highway.
There are ways. There are still lands which can be served for that connection. Naturally connected, and also habitat connected, and also like serving to the right point. I think this is one of the big visions. I'm like hiding still myself, and for now we have 35 hectares land in the zoo, but we use only for now maybe 12. So we have really big fights still in front of us, because many occupied lands we have from different people, different let's say societies they call them, or individuals. They want to have their houses above the tidal enclosure or line enclosure or whatever. So we really fight very hard to free this land.
I remember a few years ago there was, I'm sorry.
There was one person there. Let me let her ask the question. She had raised her hand, and then we'll go back.
Do you have a solid waste recycling in Yerevan Zoo, or what zoo does with organic waste?
Solid waste recycling and organic waste. What do you do with the animal waste, the manure, and all that? Yeah, she's, by the way, doing one of the students doing a project on waste recycling. So.
Nice. Then we can go because actually what we are doing now is collecting all fees and leftovers of the grasses in one place, keeping in mind that we can make pallets to burn in the winter to reduce our costs on buying electricity, which is huge amount, heating the enclosures, and making the heating system like centralized. This is our.
So this atak, you're going to take the animal waste and
yeah, we are now like keeping it, we are collecting it in one place, and if we have enough amount, we can start this because the process will go very fast. This is what we do. And in terms of plastic bottles, we cannot do much, but we collect them. We collect them, we sell to the company who is selling farther to China. And this is a project done by UN, and they are supporting us with this. But we show also different animals made out of bottles. If you have been in the zoo, you definitely can remember different animals, big statues of out of bottles, and there is a science and also sharing information how dangerous is the plastic, how it can harm to the wildlife. It's information that it's important in the zoos that you share all this. It's basically issues.
Thank you.
yeah. You want to ask them?
Yeah, I remember a few years ago there was the idea of moving the zoo to Razdan Gorge. Is this still alive? Or?
No, it's not alive. It was mainly not the zoo, but it was to create a big sanctuary of local fauna. And that was the initiative from us, from FPWC, offered to municipality. Yeah. I don't know why people think that it was a zoo that we should remove it. Maybe it comes from the mayor before that there was plans to make buildings or houses in the current place. But it's not actually.
We have two students with questions. Go ahead.
What about the food waste? Are you doing composting?
Which waste?
Food waste. Are you doing
Food waste.
vermicomposting or composting of any kind? Yeah, that's his project. That's what it is.
You mean food for the animals? Or which?
Or human, any kind of food waste that you generate. Yeah. What do you do with them?
Do you have food waste?
We don't do maybe some leftovers for the animal food, but these are not the waste that we can deal with it.
So it goes into the municipal solid waste. They come and take it away.
Yeah.
Maybe we can think about composting. You do composting on the site?
No.
That could be an
Not
interesting
yet,
educational
but we think about that.
facility. Yeah. Very good.
And what about, for example, transport? How people get there? For example, people living in regions, how do they get to Yerevan Zoo?
She's
It's
doing
about
her
transport?
yeah, she's doing her project on carbon footprint
Uh-huh.
of AUA students coming going. So she wants, I mean, the question is how do people get to and from the zoo?
Yeah, so I think it was last year or 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
we organized a shuttle bus. I'm sure you show a very nice bus station in front of the Yerevan metro station. And we have regularly free shuttle working with the gas, the bus working with the gas. For now, in future, we think about electro bus that bring for free people to the zoo and back to the city center.
And they can buy the ticket directly
Yeah,
at the
they
bus
can buy
station,
it.
which then they have not to queue in the long line. So it's also kind of
Encouraging
encouragement
people
to
to
take
use
the
public
bus.
transport, yeah.
Yeah, but there is another nice initiative that we are going to implement this year. We are going to open the first ever e-bike renting station in the zoo.
What
You
is
know
that?
what is e-bike? It's electrical bicycle.
So you can bicycle in the zoo?
You can bicycle in the zoo, but you can rent and go out. It will be in public place, so you are free to rent and go up to gardens. Whatever. So with e-bike you can ride like 80 kilometers without charging, and you can leave the hard work into the e-bike. With 70% you can choose, or 50% or 40%, depends on your health condition. Sorry.
As I understood, you already have first pageant. There is now a lot of marketing because we listen and talk to you about the safety content that your customers say that
They have very nice webpage.
grandparents.
Maybe this should be Andy at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So quickly marketing and then.
Yeah, we have actually a huge effort in marketing. I think we are successful because we are doing so many projects. It shows that we are successful in marketing. Otherwise, we could never collect so much money and partners around us to make this project. And our website, official website, is yerevanzoo.am. Besides the Facebook. Besides the yerevanzoo.am, our FPWC or Sunshine org also serving as a marketing platform for Yerevan Zoo.
By the way, you have 300,000 visitors a year approximately, that's what you said. What's the maximum you can handle? Is there a maximum?
In one day?
And yeah, I guess
In
on a
one
daily.
day,
Yeah.
one day, I think for now with the new large places, we can talk about 5,000 maximum.
Okay. Well, very informative, and thank you all.